Before we begin, let me ask you something quietly. Have you ever felt a moment where everything felt closed in? Not because the world actually changed, but because something inside you did. A moment where your thoughts become so certain, so convincing, that it felt like there was no space left for anything else. Not because there truly wasn't a way forward, but because your mind, for just a little while, stopped being able to see it. If you ever felt that kind of heaviness, that sense of being stuck, of searching for something that should be obvious, but somehow isn't, then this story is for you. Because tonight's story isn't really about a room. It's about what happens when the mind forgets how to stay open, and how something small, almost unnoticeable, can begin to shift everything back again. So you don't need to figure anything out right now. You don't need to fix anything. Just take a slow breath in, and as you exhale, allow yourself to listen, because sometimes the way out doesn't appear when you search harder. It appears when something inside you softens just enough to see it. There's a room. You don't remember entering it. And at first, it doesn't seem like a problem. It's quiet, still, almost familiar. You walk around a little, not searching for anything in particular, just noticing. The walls are plain. The air feels heavy but subtle. And then, at some point, you have a thought. Where's the door? You turn, slowly, expecting it to be obvious. But there's nothing there, just walls. It's strange, but not alarming yet. You check again. Maybe you missed it. Maybe it's behind you, or hidden somehow. But no matter where you look, it's the same. Wall after wall after wall. And something begins to shift. Not outside, but inside. A quiet thought appears. What if there's no way out? It's a small thought at first, almost dismissible, but it lingers. You walk faster now, tracing the edges, running your hand along the surface, looking for anything, a crack, a handle, a difference in texture, something. But the more you search, the more the room feels solid, certain, final. And then the thought comes back, stronger this time. There's no way out. And now it doesn't feel like a thought. It feels like a realization. Your chest tightens, just slightly. Your breathing changes, almost without permission. And the room feels smaller. Not physically, but perceptually. Like the space itself is closing in. Even though nothing has moved. You stop walking because walking doesn't seem to help. Thinking doesn't seem to help. Searching doesn't seem to help. Everything leads back to the same place. No door. And in this moment, most people don't notice. The moment where the room hasn't changed, but your mind has. Because something very specific is happening now. Your focus is narrowing. Where before, you were exploring. Now, you're scanning. Where before, you were curious. Now, you're certain. And certainty in this kind of room feels heavy. There's no way out, the thought repeats. Not because it's proven, but because nothing has contradicted it. And in your mind, under pressure, starts to treat repetition as truth. But then, something small happens. You lean back against the wall, not to escape, just to rest. And for a moment, you stop searching. Your breathing is still a little tight, but less urgent now. And in that pause, something subtle begins to change. Not the room, but your relationship to it. Because without the constant scanning, without the immediate need to solve, there's a tiny bit more space. You notice the temperature of the air, the feeling of the floor beneath you, the rhythm of your breath, in and out, in and out. And something interesting happens. When the urgency drops, even slightly, your mind widens, just a little. And in that widening, a new thought appears, not loud, not forced, just present. What if I haven't found the door yet? It doesn't feel as convincing as the other thought, not even close. But it feels different, less final. And that difference matters. Because the room was never labeled. No one ever said, there is no door. That was a conclusion formed inside a narrow state. So you stand again, but slower this time. Not frantic, not desperate, just open. And as you walk, not to escape immediately, but to see, your hand moves along the wall again. But now, you're not just looking for confirmation, you are allowing for possibility. And then you feel something. Not obvious, not dramatic, just slightly different. A section of the wall that isn't quite like the rest. You pause. Your mind wants to jump. Is this it? Is this the way out? But you don't rush. You stay with it. Because now you understand something that you didn't before. The room wasn't a trap. The certainty was. And as long as your mind was closed, even an open door would have been invisible. So you breathe slowly and let your awareness stay wide. Because whether the door opens now or later, you've already found something important. The moment your mind says, there's no way out, is the moment to trust at the least. And just like that, the room doesn't feel quite as small anymore. And now, you don't have to go anywhere. There's nothing you need to solve, nothing you need to figure out, nothing you need to force, because something has already begun. So just allow yourself to settle. You might start by noticing your breath without changing it. Just noticing the way the air moves in and then out. And as you notice that, you may begin to realize something simple. Your breath already knows how to continue without effort. In and out, And as your attention rests there, you might also begin to notice your body. Not all at once, just little pieces. The feeling of where you're sitting or lying down. The points of contact where your body meets the surface beneath you. And you may notice that the more you pay attention to those places, the more they seem to soften all on their own. Because awareness has a way of allowing things to release without needing to push. And as your breath continues, steady, rhythmic, unchanged, you might begin to notice how your body responds to that rhythm. Maybe your shoulders begin to lower, just slightly. Maybe your jaw softens without having to tell it to. Maybe the muscles around your eyes become less engaged, as if they, too, are beginning to rest. And if any part of you is still holding tension, that's okay. You don't need to remove it. You can simply notice it. Because even noticing is a kind of softening. And now, as your body continues to settle, you might imagine something, not vividly, not perfectly, just gently. Imagine that your awareness is like a light. And right now, that light doesn't need to focus tightly. It can begin to spread wider and wider, not concentrating, not narrowing, just opening, the same way your awareness shifted in the story, from searching to noticing, from urgency to space. And as that light of awareness expands, you might begin to feel a subtle sense of a room. Not a physical room, but a feeling. A little more space inside your thoughts. A little more space inside your body. A little more space between one breath and the next. And in that space, something important happens. Your mind begins to slow. Not because you forced it to, but because it no longer needs to rush. Thoughts may still appear. That's okay. They can come and they can go, like distant sounds that don't require your attention. And you may begin to notice that you don't have to follow every thought. You can simply observe. And as you do that, you may feel a gentle separation between you and the thoughts themselves, not pushing them away, not holding on to them, just allowing them to pass. And as they pass, your awareness remains steady, open, quiet. And in that quiet, you may begin to sense something deeper. A place beneath the thinking, a place beneath the searching, a place that has always been there, even when it didn't feel like it. A place that isn't trapped, a place that isn't closed, a place that simply is. And as you rest there, even for a moment, you may begin to notice that the feeling of being stuck was never the whole truth. Just a state, just a moment that your mind moved through. And now, as your awareness continues to open, you might imagine that same room from the story. But this time, you are not searching. You are simply standing, breathing, aware. And as you remain in that open awareness, you may begin to notice how different everything feels. Not because the room changed, but because you did. And from this place, you don't need to rush toward any answer. You don't need to force a solution, because something deeper has already shifted. Your mind is no longer closed, and when the mind is open, possibility exists. Even if it's quiet, even if it's subtle, even if it hasn't fully revealed itself yet. And that is enough. So for now, you can simply rest here, breathing in and out, letting your body grow heavier or lighter, whatever feels natural. Letting your thoughts drift without needing to follow them. Letting your awareness remain wide, open, at ease. And you may find that the more you allow this, the deeper your body settles, the quieter your mind becomes, and the more natural this state feels, as if something inside you remembers how to be here. And you can stay here for as long as you like, because nothing is required, nothing is expected. Just this breath, this moment, this quiet awareness that has always been available to you. And as you continue resting here, you might gently remind yourself, without effort, without force, that not every thought is truth. Not every feeling is permanent. And that openness, even the smallest amount, can change everything. So just continue breathing, resting, allowing. And if your mind drifts, that's okay. It can drift and return, just like your breath, because you're not trying to control anything right now. You're simply allowing something deeper to guide you back to ease, back into space, back into yourself. And you can remain here as long as you need, knowing that this openness, this awareness, this quiet sense of possibility is always within you, always available, even when it doesn't feel like it, especially then. So here are the key meanings of the story. Number 1, the room represents a mental state, not reality. The room isn't a real trap, it's a state of mind. It symbolizes moments of deep emotional pain, hopelessness, or depression, especially the kind that feels permanent. The key truth: nothing external has necessarily closed, but internally, perception has narrowed. Number 2, no door is no conclusion, not a fact. At no point is it proven that there is no door. The belief is formed gradually, through repetition, through lack of evidence, through emotional pressure. Meaning, hopeless thoughts often feel true not because they are true, but because nothing has interrupted them yet. Number 3, the trap is certainty, not the situation. The most powerful line in the story: the room wasn't the trap, the certainty was. This reveals the core psychological insight. When the mind becomes certain, there is no way out. It stops looking. Meaning, hopelessness closes perception, not reality. Number 4, narrow focus creates emotional suffocation. The shift from curiosity to scanning, exploring to confirming, represents how the mind under stress begins to fixate, filter out alternatives, reinforce negative beliefs. Meaning, the more the mind narrows, the more trapped you feel, even if nothing's changed externally. Number 5, the pause is the turning point. The moment of leaning against the wall, that's where everything changes. Not because a solution appears, but because effort stops. Meaning, relief doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from interrupting the cycle. Number 6, regulation before resolution. When breathing slows, awareness widens. Only then does a new thought appear. What if I haven't found the door yet? Meaning, you don't think your way out first. You calm your nervous system first. Clarity follows regulation. Number 7, possibility is softer than certainty. The new thought isn't powerful. It's quiet, unconvincing, fragile, but it matters. Meaning, hope doesn't arrive loudly. It begins as a small opening. Number 8, the door was always there. The person doesn't create the door. They become able to perceive it. Meaning, solutions, help, or change often exist, but cannot be seen from a closed mental state. Number 9, awareness expands reality. When the mind widens, perception widens, emotional space increases, options reappear. Meaning, your internal state determines what you can see externally. Number 10, the most important reframe. The moment your mind says, "there's no way out," is the moment to trust it the least. This is the core takeaway. Meaning, the thoughts that feel most final are often the least reliable. Number 11, the story is about suicide without naming it directly. The room represents feeling trapped, believing there's no escape, emotional suffocation. But instead of reinforcing despair, the story gently introduces uncertainty, space, possibility. Meaning, it meets the listener where they are without pushing and slowly opens the door internally. And number 12, you are not the thought, you are the awareness. The shift from being inside the panic to observing breath, body, and space represents identity shifting. meaning you are not the trapped feeling. You are the awareness that can expand beyond it. And as this story begins to settle inside you, you might notice something quietly important. That even in the moments where everything feels closed, something in you never fully is. There is always a part of you that can pause, that can breathe, that can begin to see differently, even if just a little. And sometimes a small shift is where everything begins to change. So if this story resonated with you, if something inside you softened or opened or felt understood, I invite you to stay connected to that feeling. Subscribe to this channel so you can return to this space anytime you need to. And if you're ready for something more personal, something created just for you, you can reach out to me directly at emailing me at rhonda's@gmail.com, because sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones written especially for you where you are now. And until next time, remember this gently. The moment your mind says there's no way out, maybe be the moment something inside you is just beginning to open.